Welcome back, Colonels. Today is going to be the second week of Unit 4. So hopefully that you guys understood sexually transmitted diseases as well as sexually transmitted infections. It's the same term used, STIs, STDs, it's the same thing. And you understand a little bit about communicable diseases. Again, communicable diseases that can spread through our community. Non-communicable diseases cannot. So as we're going through this crisis with the coronavirus, obviously that is a communicable disease. I'm going to try to keep all these videos down to 5 minutes here. And so I'll go ahead and start here. And today we're going to be talking about two things. We're going to talk about other communicable diseases, but these are not sexually transmitted. So we're going to talk about influenza, the flu, and mononucleosis. So here we go. 5 minutes for me to get this in. All right, there we go. There we go. All right, so the flu. Another name, influenza is a proper term. So what are our symptoms of the flu? And hopefully you guys understand this. We've heard a lot about this in the news. People are confused. Do they have the flu or do they have the coronavirus or COVID-19? All right, dizziness. Your body aches, fevers, you might have vomiting or nausea. Those are all symptoms of the flu. Well, how do you get the flu? Well, we can get from person to person, person to object, or object back to a person, okay? And we know viruses can live up to a certain number of hours outside the body. Remember, a virus needs a host. It needs a person, plant, or a thing. It needs a living thing for it to survive. And the fact that it can live only on non-living things for a period of time. Some materials longer than others. More porous it is, the less time typically. All right. So do we have cures for viruses? The answer is no. Okay, we don't, but we do have treatments for viruses. Now, viruses will go dormant in your body. It means that they kind of essentially go to sleep, but they can always come back up. For instance, I had chicken pox when I was a kid. All right, but I'm not going to get chicken pox again. But if it does come back, it's something called shingles. Okay, but it's been dormant in my body, even though I had chicken pox, whatever it was, 5 years of age. All right, so it's dormant. All right, now a treatment for influenza or the flu is something called Tamiflu. Tamiflu is something that you would need to get a prescription for. So let me explain how Tamiflu works. All right, so if this was a cell in your body, okay, and we got trillions and trillions of cells, and a virus came in to my body, okay, came in through my nose, mouth, whatever opening. All right, and so for this case, this plastic cup is going to be a cell, and here's a penny that's going to act as a virus. So as the virus goes in, all right, it infects this cell. Well, what happens with the flu, and we have protein that when viruses are in our body, they duplicate, okay, they replicate, and they're going to make copies of themselves over and over and over again, and that's how they will essentially spread. So here we got one virus, and now it's making copies of itself over and over and over again. And when this cell gets full and it's about ready to rupture, and all these viruses are about ready to go all throughout our body, that's where we get sick. But if you start having a little bit of symptoms with the flu, you can take something called Tamiflu, and what Tamiflu would do, it acts like a barrier, cover over the cells. All right, so now it doesn't allow that virus to escape. Okay, so it can't escape. So that's how Tamiflu works. So incubation periods for the flu are 1 to 3 days. Okay, now you can be contagious without even having symptoms. All right, so I might not show any symptoms until day 3, but I might be still contagious on day 2, and I might give it to somebody else. Okay, and that's what's happening right now also with the coronavirus. People might not show any symptoms, but yet they can transmit it to other people. Next one we want to talk about is mono. Mono is called the kissing disease. Well, what's the symptoms of this? Extreme fatigue. So a person walking up down the steps would be extremely tired. They might have to lay there for a half hour just to have enough strength. Even to take a shower, it seems like way too daunting of a task. They're too tired to do it. You might have a little bit of dizziness, vomiting, but you will also have a fever associated with it. Well, how is it transmitted? All right, saliva. Now, saliva doesn't transmit sexually transmitted diseases, but saliva does transmit mono, okay? So what is the treatment for it? Nothing. You can't do anything. Eat, sleep, rest, time. Time's the only thing. So what's happening with mono, when this is wrecking your body, it's also swelling. It's making your spleen. Your spleen is right underneath your rib cage here. It's an organ. Luckily, we're protected with our rib cage. It won't affect our spleen. But if our spleen enlarges, it's inflamed, it grows. Just like you twist your ankle, it inflames. So the spleen is going to essentially grow. So it might not be protected underneath my rib cage if I had mono. So a lot of times you hear kids coming back to school, they're cleared by the doctor to come back to school, but they might not be cleared for sports. Well, they're not cleared for sports because it might not be protected. And if it gets ruptured, that we have some issues. Because what the spleen does, it stores extra white blood cells. Well, we need that to help fight off infections, and it replicates, it recycles red blood cells. So the spleen has an important function. Incubation period for mono, 2 to 4 weeks. So sometimes you hear it called the kissing disease, and people usually around the age of 21 to early 12 to 21 are typically your prime time for mono. Well, what are people, there's our 5 minutes, so let me wrap this up. So what are people doing between the ages, oftentimes, of teenage and early years of college? Well, what they're doing, they're kissing a lot. They might be involved in drinking games at a college dorm, and they're sharing party drinks, okay, playing beer pong or whatever the case is. And it's a very easy way for it to be transmitted in high schools as well as colleges. And mono will make you sick oftentimes for a month and a half. So 2 to 6 weeks is oftentimes how long you're sick for. Anyway, so that's today's lesson. Tomorrow we'll come back and we will talk about, let's see here. Tomorrow we will talk about staph and MRSA. Okay, so today we're viruses. Tomorrow we'll get to bacteria. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Take care.